All right, everyone, welcome back. Coast to Coast Podcast, joined with my main man, Tori, episode 53. How do you like that? That
It
was good,
is.
right? That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
We're here, and the Stanley Cup has come. It's been awarded. The Conn Smythe's been awarded. Vezna's been awarded, I think, and all that since our last episode. No, I think we talked about Vezna, but lots going on. People are getting ready for expansion draft. Lists have to be submitted by the 17th, which is really only like a week away, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so 1 week away for that, and then the expansion draft is going to happen a few days later. Are you excited? This is what you've been talking about all playoff long, what you've been waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had been waiting for it, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see how much will happen at the time where I may or may not be available. But
Yep.
I expect probably a lot to happen during that time.
Yeah, unfortunately, but fortunate.
That's
yeah.
probably what will happen. But we'll see what happens with that, and we'll have lots of time to discuss whatever happens. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get the 32nd team. I think that next year we'll also have a relocation. So I think that will be interesting.
Like during the season, or is it going to start coming up?
So like after the conclusion of next season,
Okay.
in between the season that and the season after, there'll be a relocation.
Okay.
It'll be Arizona, and my guess is that they go to Houston or Quebec.
Okay.
Probably not Quebec, but no, Quebec wants a team, but I just don't think they're set up yet.
All right. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think we should lead things off with talking about the team that earned it this year, going all season long, being the dominant, and then playoffs, they're dominant. Tampa Bay Lightning. They get to hoist Lord Stanley one more time. 2 years in a row now.
Ice.
Pardon?
Home ice, back to back.
Did you catch what the mayor said right before Game 4 of Tampa?
I did, yeah.
Well, who does that? I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Who actually says, I kind of hope you guys lose so that we can win it at home ice. And sure enough, There it is. But yeah, I don't know. For me, the Stanley Cup Finals probably of all the playoff hockey is usually not the most I watch, but I did tune in probably the most for a Stanley Cup Final in a while. Usually by this point, I'm very hockeyed out. My teams are out. The two teams left are like a lot of the times it's like favored to one side, right? And it's the big series happened the round before, but this time it was whatever. I think it's pretty much what I expected to happen. As exactly what I predicted. Tampa Bay in 5. They handled them for the most part.
Habs really didn't have a chance in the series, and like I know that I had called them, but to be completely honest with you, I was just kind of trying to put a bit of my jinx on it, my opposite jinx on it.
You're trying to jinx the Habs?
Pretty much, like to be completely honest with you, this playoffs has been insanely frustrating for me because pretty much everyone I wanted to see win lost. Every time I was like, oh, this person's going to do that, they didn't. Every time I was like, oh, this team's going to win, they lost. I was wrong about pretty much everything I said this entire offseason, or playoffs, I mean. So I just kind of like was frustrated. So I was just like, fine, you know what? If this is the way it's going to be, then let's cheer on Montreal. And I didn't really mean it, but I did say it. I mean, I did have the dream. So like if it did actually come true, that dream still remains. It still happened.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's in the future, whatever. Maybe it was just a mix of whatever stuff. Who knows, right? Like, it is what it is. It was a freaking dream, right? But that being said, I didn't actually think they had a chance. I was just trying to put as much power as I possibly could to make sure they didn't.
Yeah. But at the same time, we thought they didn't have a chance against the Leafs. They didn't have a chance against Vegas. I think of all the series, most people thought they probably had a chance against the Jets after the Leafs situation.
Put it this way, how many teams would have a chance versus Tampa?
Not very many.
Healthy. And Tampa also lost Killorn, which was incredible. Side note on Killorn, I don't know if you heard or not. He took pregame warm-ups in 2 games and didn't play. He actually had he had a broken leg and he had a rod inserted and he tried to play on it.
What a sicko. You have people like him doing that, and then there's other people that are saying that they had to play through injuries.
Yeah.
That's they weren't happy about, right? So it's
I mean,
pretty funny.
Kucherov played with two broken ribs, which I said on the podcast before was definitely the case when he got cross-checked in that hockey play. When cross-checking when you don't have the puck or anything,
Yeah,
because it's playoffs, it's cool. It's, I mean, basically assault with a weapon, but because you're on skates on ice, it's green light.
and being paid. Yeah,
Um,
like
yeah,
it's like
exactly. So I mean,
WWF on skates.
yeah, like WCW almost on skates. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm gonna not try to get wound up in the future about anything like that. But it's ridiculous to me that the amount of stuff that they let go just because it's quote unquote playoff hockey, and the amount of people that I talk to that just say like, oh, it is that because we know it's different in the playoffs.
How
Why?
how much of
What?
it going kind of like untalked about and what's the word, like people that's not talking about it is has to do with that it was Kucherov. And honestly, I'll be honest, I didn't know Kucherov had the kind of personality that he showcased in that
Nobody
post.
does, right?
Nobody does, but
Hockey players are sheltered.
I think though, like if it's not him, like tough Russian that also has that sense of humor and cocky and all that. If it's like someone that's a little more like, would something else would have been approached differently, would be talking about a completely different story, like
I think it's also different because you have a guy who just won a Stanley Cup. He missed the entire year, and he knows that he has a great chance to win back to back. Like, if that was me, I would be the guy trying to play with a rod in my leg, personally. Like, if I knew that this could be the last year that I'm on a team that's deemed the favorite to win the cup, and then we might fall down to just the rest of the pack that competes for the cup, and maybe we just don't win another one in the next couple of years. I want to make sure I'm a part of that again, especially when I just missed the entire season. The funny thing is, I don't know why this isn't being talked about, but I think it was the Fan 590 I was talking or listening to the other day, or it might have been TSN 1050. They were talking about it. They had somebody on from Tampa Bay, and they were basically saying that Kucherov was available to play 2.5 to 3 weeks before the end of the season, and that he was frustrated he couldn't get in the lineup, and he was itching to play. And when Stamkos and who was the other guy? It was a point, whoever it was, Hedman, that got injured, he was talking to them about potentially putting them on injured reserve to bring Kucherov off. But that was on the radio with somebody who's familiar with the organization of Tampa, speaking about how they won and everything, breaking down their run to the cup. Isn't that being talked about more when the NHL did their investigation and deemed that there was no wrongdoing on behalf of Tampa?
NHL investigation. Here we go.
And that's what I mean. Like now, like how can we trust the NHL with these investigations they talk about? Which I guess this is a natural freaking way to get to the next topic here.
Yeah. Just before we do that, I just want to say, like, I can understand letting it go. You don't want the talk of the NHL championship. You don't want it to be the Houston Astros 2.0. You don't want that. Like that. Whenever you have a cheat or some little thing, you can understand from their perspective why they want to put it under the rug, but at the same time, from the fans and from the other perspectives, you don't want this kind of thing happening. Period. So
there's parties that don't care. There's parties that are like that can't happen, and there's parties now that hate Tampa or really dislike Tampa because they feel like they almost cheated for a cup. That's not what you want. Exactly what you're saying. That's not what you want as a league. Your sport, right? Like you don't want people to feel like it was like the Houston Astros and somebody cheated their way to victory. Like that shouldn't be within the rules if it's quote unquote cheating. I mean, I guess cheating in different people's eyes can be loosely defined as different things, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's the problem, but I don't know. Yeah, Conn Smythe actually. We had that as a topic before we get into the other stuff, I guess. Conn Smythe, do you think they got it right or do you think they got it wrong?
Definitely got it right.
I agree. There's a lot of people that think that our camp is wrong.
That we're wrong?
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the radio that say that we're in the camp that is wrong, and I disagree with them.
There's no way, like you point out to me every time it happened, every clinching game was a shutout.
5 series in a row.
This guy
back cup clinching shutouts. 2-0 last year, 1-0 this year.
Conn Smythe is playoff MVP, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do think there's probably this probably plays into it like a tiny bit, but I still don't think there's an argument that it's anyone else. This like
It's Kucherov or it's Vasilevsky. Those are the only two in debate. And to me,
Kucherov missed a game, didn't he?
I don't remember, but I honestly, I could listen to the debate in Kucherov and be like, okay, I understand you. Like, I see where you're coming from. I don't believe that, but I can listen to your argument. I strongly, however, believe that
you
this can
get by without a top player. It could happen. Like if Kucherov wasn't there, they still if they don't have Vasilevsky, no chance.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the kind of the way I put it at, and I think what I was getting at was the fact that he missed out on the Vezina, which again, arguably a big mistake. Like he should have that probably too, right?
Yeah.
But that probably plays a tiny bit into it. Not that it mattered.
Maybe.
Not that it mattered.
Yeah, it shouldn't. But
how often does a Conn Smythe go to a goalie?
The last time it happened was J.S. Giguère, back when Anaheim beat Jersey in the finals.
Wow, that was 20 years ago.
I'm guessing 02, 04, 06, somewhere in that window.
Yeah, it's like 15 years ago at least.
Yeah. So
I just know where I was at my life watching J.S. Giguère. I was in my one buddy's basement. That was like grade 9 or 10.
Yeah, it was back in the day for sure. Yeah.
All right, buyouts. I know this is one of your favorite topics to talk about. And to be honest, I learned some things about buyouts and how they worked across the NHL that I did not know before, about the 2/3 and the 1/3 and how that carries forward. So that's... If you're not too familiar, there's a good video out there the hockey guy did that breaks down how it worked. Yeah. So I'm not it's too much to go into right now, but
yeah, there's a lot of intricacies for sure, especially in the NHL. Like there's like the level of talking about players, then there's like the level of talking about money, and then there's like other sub levels of like salary retentions and like contract bonuses and stuff like that. Actually, speaking of which, I will add that to a topic for later because I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I can. We'll know that. But the buyout is D'Angelo bought out. I didn't catch that.
That's what I heard he was. Yeah, I heard he was the first one on there.
Okay. I'll have to.
I know the window opened the other day, and that's who they said was confirmed on there. I think that part of the reason why he didn't get a lot of attention is that I think that they're trying to make sure he doesn't get a lot of attention because of the whole incident and not playing and stuff like that. I think they're just trying to kind of do it, and
they say they have until July 27th to buy him out. He hasn't been bought out yet, so it seems like, from what I understand too, this potentially could be the first time that the Canucks are in a position where they could actually buy out Louis Eriksson. But they might wait one more year. I don't know. I don't see the Canucks being at a spot where they're going to make a push yet, to be honest. So,
but they have to protect certain guys in expansion, and as far as I'm concerned, if you can't get them to agree to waive, then you have to buy them out because you're not going to protect them at the expense of a younger forward. At least not if you're. I
see. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because if you have a no move clause, then you have to be protected unless you waive it, right? And there's a lot of guys out there that would fit in that category that wouldn't be taken if they waived. You would assume.
Eriksson wouldn't be a guy that would be claimed, similar to like a Lucic. Can't remember other guys, but certain guys just inflated contracts. That definitely. Yeah.
Those kind of guys, yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about buyouts, or just that?
No, just that the window opened. I expect there to be a few of them. I don't expect there to be a lot of them. Maybe 6 or 8 of them. And I expect majority of them to kind of be lower tier fringe level guys, where they're on like a 2 or 3 year deal at like 3, 4, 5 mil, and they just kind of need that space for 2 or 3 other guys. And it's like, it's not that we don't want you. It's just we can't have you. Like, you add in the expansion element, if they're one of those guys that takes up a spot that won't move, then there's more reason to do so. So I mean, I expect Vancouver to have one buyout, if not two,
Really?
in the forward group. I would think that between was it Jay Beagle, Antoine Roussel,
Yeah, maybe.
and
Yeah,
Louis Eriksson, I would expect them to either get all of them to waive or get them
at least
bought
one
out.
bio. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
but we'll see. There's a few teams like the Leafs and stuff that I don't expect any buyouts from. We'll see.
Yeah. Fun times.
So I
Oh,
guess on to Ron McLean.
yeah. I'll let you lead this one.
Be honest, I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
I just saw that he was getting a lot of flack about his refusal to speak to Gary Bettman about the Chicago Blackhawks incident. That's currently catching a lot of attention or more attention for what appears to have been some incidents swept under the rug. And now, speaking of that, there seems to be a second incident that the school, what is it, the University of Ohio?
Yeah. There's a second
Might
school
be.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time they've publicly spoke out, and the first time they publicly speak out, while they have lawyers, they state there's a second case. So I mean, they're not lying, I wouldn't think, right?
Hmm.
So I
I
mean,
think at
not
this
only was there
point,
one case, there's two.
yeah. Once lawyers get involved, lawyers always say, "Don't talk about it in the public." Right? You're seeing it in baseball right now with Trevor Bauer. He hasn't come out. His vlog's not coming out. He's just not talking about it right now, and he hasn't been
But
back in
this
baseball.
At the same time, the lawsuit is for a very small amount because it shows that they want to win this. I think it's almost a political proper way to cry for potential other victims to step up and say, hey, like, we're going for this. We know that there's two. We're confirming there's two. And then somebody else might say, hey, no, no, I'm three. Right? Or I'm five. Like, hey, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden they turn around a couple months from now and say, hey, we have confirmed five cases. You know what I mean? And then maybe more people say, hey, five people have stood up. Okay, maybe now I'll speak up. You know what I mean? Like, there's potentially and
A
probably
snowball.
likely more victims, whether they are as impacted as what seems to have happened or to a lesser degree. I'm sure there's more people that were impacted by this man in the
Yeah.
position he was in.
Most
I think it's a
definitely.
cry for more
Most
people.
definitely, but it's understandable at the same time that they're not going to talk about it openly in an interview on a hockey night,
Yes.
right? So it makes
Yeah.
sense. Bettman probably wants the focus to be on what was going on, playoffs, hockey, championship being awarded, celebratory of the season, trophies, the
But
thing with
when
with the
when is a good
lawyers.
time to talk about it?
Well, when there's lawyers and there's a lot of unknown, honestly, they might not ever come out and talk about it. Batman might not ever come out and talk about it except in a courtroom.
How can you have people in the general manager position who lead up hundreds, if not thousands, of body counts for positions and jobs who have failed to report in the past and just trust them that moving forward all will be great and all will be fine and dandy?
Uh, I don't think the trust is probably not there right now. I would think this investigation is still in the beginning. When it comes to litigation, these things move super slow. So I expect it to kind of move at a slow pace. I'm sure there'll be people losing jobs along the way here. I'm sure, like we've talked about in the past, like the based on the number, we would suspect that this is going in front of a judge or a jury or whatever. It's not going to just settle. So people are going to be forced to testify. There'll probably be subpoenas in there, and then that's when we'll get the real story. That's when we'll get their side of the story. That's when we will hear, like, Bettman will very likely be subpoenaed into if this went to a courtroom, right? He'd be
Mm.
forced to answer questions on the stand unless he's gonna like go plead the seventh, which I doubt is ever gonna happen, but or
At the
fifth or
same
whatever it is.
time, we have yeah, I think it's the fifth, but we have five or six bodies who are now in different organizations. If you were to be investigated for such actions or involvement in a case in a normal work environment, you would probably be put on some sort of leave,
Yep,
administrative leave.
maybe.
And my question is, why are these guys just going to be? We know the case is going to take months to be resolved. So if it turns out to be positive and we look back over the last 12, 16, 18 months that we waited for it, and these guys have made trades, hired, fired, brought in other guys that are friends, buddies, whoever, references, whatever, how can you just Is that not neglect? Maybe not neglect,
I
but like,
I
is it?
think we don't know at this point. Like the truth of the matter is, we don't know the chain of command exactly who was privy to what, and that all that stuff comes out. Maybe the NHL does know, and if they do know those kind of things now and are not acting on it, then that's a different topic. But I think at this point, yeah,
I mean,
I don't
we
know.
we know the Blackhawks did nothing about it. You know, it was reported, and they did nothing about it. That is fact.
But
And to
like
me, that is
you're
enough
yeah, but I
for
don't know.
somebody to have to take accountability for it.
Yeah, I
Somebody,
agree.
anybody.
Just one, yeah, at least, yeah. I guess what you're saying right now is nobody's been accountable, zero, right?
Not only that, they just continue on as normal, and they continue on as trying to presumably clean up anything they may have also been continuing to do. That
Hmm.
if they do go to courts, they do these things, they can clean stuff up. Like I would love to. I personally would be watching all the organization hires and fires, and moves and references in the last 10 years. I would check them all out.
Talk to them
If
all.
there and
Yeah,
if there's multiple people, like there could be connections to other guys who are hired and fired amongst the NHL who have priors for all kinds of different things. Like I don't understand that apparently you don't need a background check to be amongst
the NHL's coaching.
scouts and personnel and stuff like that. Like,
Yet in minor hockey, you do.
yeah, minor hockey, you need
Yeah,
a
I
license
guess.
to be on the bench.
Crazy.
You need a card. You need a coaching
Yeah.
card to be on the bench with kids. So like,
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's
It
not over
just,
yet. That's for sure.
yeah, there's a lot to come.
I
There's,
personally just hope it doesn't just like settle and non-disclosure, everyone quiet. I hope that does not happen. I think
I don't think it
I
will.
think we're becoming into this age in society where people care more about the truth than ever in a while. Definitely over these past couple of years, the seeking of truth has become more, and I feel like this is one of those times.
Yeah, and I feel like the NHL to us is a huge, important, big thing. But when you compare it to so many things that are going on right now, it's so niche compared to
Yeah, and
everything
we
that I
talked
feel
about it
like,
right at the beginning of the pandemic of how it doesn't matter anymore. The
yeah,
hockey.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. A lot of people have kind of tuned out and are like secondary fans now, just because they don't have the time, the
They
money, the
realize the
energy, whatever.
priority, yeah, in life. Like
Exactly, priorities.
things bigger than hockey. I think is something we've thrown around on this podcast a number of times.
Yeah, and then when you get to your truths, I just feel like the NHL hasn't yet been put under the spotlight. And to me, I'm seeing red flags come up all over the place for reason to do so.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm just kind of waiting for that time to come. And it's just unfortunate that, like, last year, if you look at the NBA, there was this huge lockout. It might have been the year before. There was the huge lockout and the huge issue. And there's a lot of concerns with issues and the inequality of everyone and everyone trying to play.
No, I don't remember that.
They basically forced the commissioner out of his role
Oh, okay,
because they
yeah,
wanted
I
somebody
remember
else.
that. Yeah.
And the owners were potential like trying to lock out and stuff like that. That's pretty much the extent that I know. So it might be slightly off on that, but I know that it was basically that was one of the reasons. And what I said to somebody was with the NFL and the NBA, if a lot of their players said, "We don't feel like you're treating us properly, we don't feel like you're paying us properly, whatever, we're not going to play," the sport would probably stop because there's not many players that can play like that the way they do for the period of time that they do. When you go to the NHL, there's a lot of hockey players around that are all pretty much the same. Like there's some players that are slightly more skilled, but there's so many leagues all over the place that it's just like another league could form, or there could be problems and they could just get rid of people and they could move on. Like it seems like the NHL just has like built this way to just keep sweeping everything under the rug. And I'm just kind of sitting here wondering, okay, when is there too much under the rug? When will somebody fall
Yeah.
on the rug and it all comes out? Or when will somebody lift up the rug and it's all sitting there? Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's time.
We'll see. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun to
I hope
watch.
so. Looking forward to it.
Let's see. Speaking of other leagues, then well, let's. You have Kaprisov on here.
Real Kaprisov.
Yeah, talks. Yeah, so the talks of negotiating his contract with Minnesota have gone cold. So is he restricted? Or
He's an RFA.
okay, and so the KHL lurking to sign him. I can only imagine. Be good.
I think it's CSK. What is it? CSK in Moscow, or CKSA, whatever.
Is that the team that like wins every year because it's like
Yeah, pretty
rigged?
much. Yeah, yeah. Oh, they're like lurking, trying to sign him. I think he played for them, or they were trying to sign him before he came to the NHL or something. But they're offering him like a big deal. So like now it's like a Russian-born player. He won Rookie of the Year. Now he's getting offered a ton of money. I'm sure he wants to be in the NHL, but I'm sure he wants to try and use his offerings from the K to kind of up and up his contract.
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if Minnie's gonna trade him. I mean, if you can't sign him, his asset value is at peak trading.
Yeah, for a team that can sign him, send him to the
Yeah.
Rangers.
Maybe. I mean, one of the top 5 picks. I don't know who has it, but maybe like New Jersey. I think they're 4th.
Oh
Did
man,
they
that'd be
trade like
nasty. Put him
Kaprisov for
on
4th?
Hughes, him and Hughes. Oh,
There was a rumor that New Jersey just got permission to spend to the cap.
they didn't
So,
before. Like their owners
no.
were holding back.
I think. Let me just check. I think they were pretty.
Yeah, they were
Got
kind
a
of
lot of
like
money.
selling and stuff. They were kind of setting up. The past 2 years, New Jersey has kind of been setting up for this moment, right? They cleared out, like, got assets all at the trade deadline yesterday. They kind of got rid of their like middling ground to make room. Could see a good move for Jersey. At the same time,
Got a couple RFAs, and Ryan Murray is the only UFA. They've got their 2 goalies signed, and they have 35 million of cap. By the time they sign their players, they have approximately 30 million to go out and spend and move around and use.
they're gonna have to save some eventually for some Hughes money, though.
Yeah, somebody on a 1 or 2 year deal, like maybe a Tarasenko,
Yeah,
might be a good fit there, but who knows?
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Upcoming expansion, like you said off the top, July 17th is when the lists are required. So I would expect there to be some trades between now and then. Off air, we were talking about, are they going to announce them? Are they not going to announce them? You'd think they'd have to announce them because it could impact other, options or trades.
well, that's the
or
thing.
stuff
Like,
that.
if a team you're competing with goes out and gets a winger that you were kind of going for, and then you're like, crap, now I need a winger before all this gets settled, like, or I need to make this move, or you kind of need them to be announced, right? But yeah, I agree with you. I think there's got to be at least something coming soon.
Figured that they wanted to try and give Tampa probably enough days to kind of relish in their moment. I feel like, probably as of today, I feel like, probably tomorrow will be business time, back to business.
Yeah.
Maybe one more day, and Tuesday will be back to business day.
They're gonna be
but then
sitting
it's
around,
just Tuesday, Wednesday.
They're gonna be
and
sitting
then
around their fireplace outside, their bonfires. They're gonna be having some brews. It's Sunday evening. They're like, you know what? Let's open up the trade wire. Let's get the
make things
business.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear Calgary's trying to re-sign Gaudreau right now?
Heard that, but I don't know if I believe it.
No, they might just be seeing.
I feel like
They might be doing it to see if he's interested to re-sign so that they can trade him. If he's not.
I think last episode we talked about potentially trading him, and we said, good value, but on a 1 year pending UFA deal. So like, who's really going to pay for him? I think that some GMs are basically like, okay, we have to trade for him and protect him, and then he's a pending free agent. Yeah, no thanks. We'll talk to you after expansion. I feel like Calgary's sitting there being like, no one's talking to us. We have these pieces. We want to make trades, but no one wants to talk to us right now, and we have our own issues. I feel like Calgary is just trying to be like, no, yeah, we're talking about re-signing him actually, and that way people will be like, oh wait, you know what? Maybe we do want to do that, and then trade him and extend him, but then move it. You know what I mean? It changes the conversation. So I think it's a bit of smoke.
Makes sense. All right, so then the 21st, we have the draft itself. Maybe, if possible, they do it on TV, right? The draft.
I think so.
A live show that's right up our alley. Could be good.
Yeah,
if
I
possible.
hope that's what they're doing.
So
Can maybe do a live stream of it. Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Not
yeah,
stream, but a reaction stream or something.
We could even do a stream, even if possible. I know you're
Yeah.
gonna have a lot going on that week, so
Yeah.
then July 23rd, 24th, the NHL entry draft. I honestly, for whatever reason in my head, I thought the draft happened already. I don't know why. Um, I think it's because we just all were talking about who Buffalo is going to get or what, because they're number one pick,
Yeah.
right? And just how, yeah. So, and
I think
then,
maybe you're thinking of the lotto
yeah,
selection.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how we just assumed that, oh, they're going to draft this guy. So
Yeah.
that he went number one, according, yeah. And then, so that's happening for July 23rd, 24th. And then the 28th, the fun, the super, well, honestly, all of this is pretty exciting. This is all
Yeah.
hype time right now. But then we have free agent period opening. Trades are going to be popping. It's all going to be good. We're going to see some free agent. Usually the first day there's some big signings, right? Usually people just get it out of the way.
Usually, yeah. And I expect there to be. The other thing too is the NHL usually, I don't know if they did it this year. A lot of times they'll have an open window for players to negotiate.
Yeah.
But also, if players get permission from their team owners now, they can talk. Like a lot of teams will say, you know what, we're not going to resign you, or like go, like we have our number in mind, but you can feel free to speak. You can speak and talk. Can't talk specifics, but you can talk ballparks.
Yeah, like are
You
you
could be
looking for
like,
a long-term deal, big money, or short-term deal, or like that kind of
you
stuff?
could be like, would you like a deal like Leonard's or would you like a deal like Flurry's? But you
Yeah.
couldn't be like, would you sign 5 x 5?
Yeah.
So there's like a way to walk around the line and talk about
Oh
it
yeah.
without being
Lawyer speak.
accused of, yeah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's gonna be fun, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited for this. Man, I don't know. This is the part of sports I like is the general manager. I like that side of the aspect and having a maneuver, build your team. Yeah, fresh starts, all
Yeah.
that stuff. I like the fresh start aspect too.
Expect that there's going to be a lot of players that are impacted. Probably not the top 5 or 6 guys, but that those guys from like 7 or 8 down to like 18 or 20. That pack of 12, 15 guys. I
Yeah,
feel like there's going to be a bunch of teams that are trying to position on multiple guys that are similar-ish in skill or skill set or caliber. And I feel like once it all settles down, the top couple of guys are going to set the market. And I feel like, yes, like you said, there's going to be some deals that are announced right off the top. But I could also see this being a free agency where it's like almost like waves, where it's like this the top couple guys sign, and then now we're waiting on these 4 or 5 guys, and then these 2 guys made their decision, so then that sparked the next things to happen. So it could
yeah.
be here it is, and then we don't hear anything for 3, 4, 5 days, and then here's 5 or 6 things to talk about, and then nothing for a week, and then so we'll see. Should be interesting, but then also pre-season and prospect camps are going to start up end of September. So
Yeah,
we're only
and
a couple months away from
you
everything
know
starting
who
up
has
again
the
soon.
first matchup against the Kraken?
Vancouver.
They do. They're gonna play in Spokane their first game.
It's cool.
Spokane, Washington, home of the Spokane Chiefs.
Uh, you ever been down there?
Pardon?
You ever been down there?
To Spokane? No. No, I've watched Spokane play against the Vancouver Giants. That's the only reason I know they're the Chiefs.
There was a Spokane, Saginaw, Tri-City. There's one other one that's the American kind of groups that's grouped into the WHL. It'd be pretty cool to go down there and kind of watch a little road
World
trip of
Tour,
different.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, you wanted to
Yeah.
ask me a couple questions or throw the questions out there. This
Yeah,
this
so,
first one I found interesting.
I thought so because I saw a little chart and it was really cool because it was like a live chart. So it was one of those charts where like as you're watching it over time, like the bars are moving so you can see where the teams are.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because like you could see like us being really big hockey fans, it almost like sparked memories of like watching hockey because it was like the Pittsburgh dynasty, then the Chicago, then LA, and then all of a sudden, San Jose and Boston popped up there, and then San Jose disappeared, and like Colorado came up. So it was just kind of like interesting to see. And pretty much there was one team that was directly on top. Out of the 4 main ones, Blackhawks, Kings, Penguins, and Lightning, what do you think is the best dynasty?
Wow. Honestly, I got to say the Lightning for number one.
Really?
I feel like they've had two, like over the past 15, they've had two big peaks, whereas the other teams have had one. Whereas like they peaked and then they went back down to earth a little bit. They're still strong, and then now we're here.
Penguins had two. I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Like they had two
Peaks.
cups. You think they had two peaks?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When's their what? I would say their first peaks when they went to the cup. What was it?
They have 3 cups in the last 20 years.
Mm.
One, what was it? Back when was it Recchi? Mark Recchi was on there with Dupuis and Crosby, and there was
I guess
Gonchar,
really early.
Letang.
Yeah. No,
I
yeah,
don't remember the other goalie with Fleury, but they had Fleury and someone.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I know deep down I disrespect the Kings the most, mainly because I didn't watch a lot of hockey around that time. That was right around the strike period in a way, and that's where I kind of went away from the game for a little bit. So I don't appreciate the dynasty that they had built. I think, Blackhawks, they definitely were super strong for a long time too. So I don't know.
1 to 4, what would you rank 1 to 4?
I'd probably go Lightning, Penguins, Blackhawks, Kings. But that's just, I feel like after saying that, that's just like the East Coast bias in me from when I was growing up watching on the East Coast. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually say Pittsburgh, Chicago, Tampa Bay, LA right now, because I don't know what Tampa's going to do to continue it. But if you ask me 2 years from now and Tampa continues it, I think they can continue. Like, I think they're right on that borderline of surpassing them. But the reason why I give Chicago the benefit of the doubt or whatever is that the cap world wasn't here, and they didn't have to freaking just like destroy their team year after year after they were winning it. They could have easily run through more caps.
Yeah.
And if they had a GM who was willing and able and capable and whatever to manipulate more things and get lucky as much as Tampa Bay did, like Tampa Bay, if they didn't have the luck that Kucherov was out this entire season, they wouldn't have had such a strong season or strong team. And who knows if they would have got through the Islanders or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like I just feel like they're ready to take over them. But I need to see one more kick at the can from them to put them above Chicago and right in line with Pittsburgh. If they win another cup, they pass Pittsburgh. If they go to another cup final, I would put them past Pittsburgh.
Okay.
They're right there, but LA for sure. Bottom of 4 for me. The next question. I saw this just on a fan board and I thought it was an interesting question. Just fun. They said if the NHL mandated the Northern Division to continue playing their own division until somebody wins the cup, and once somebody out of the Northern Division wins the cup, they would break the divisions back out to the way they were. How many seasons and what team do you think would be before we would switch back to the normal divisions?
I think our best chance at it is going to be Toronto. But if I was going to run a simulation of this, I feel like Toronto would be the most likely candidate, but the years could be very big. I don't know.
Yeah. I couldn't come up with an answer myself. I was like,
I'm just trying to think of it as like if you plug in the numbers into a supercomputer, it's going to spit out like percent. I just see Toronto at the highest percent. Wow.
Yeah.
But then like when they're in the Final Four against the best of the other ones, I don't know what the percentage of us winning a cup. Like I would just picture it would feel very much like this year with Montreal every time.
Yeah. They get through. Maybe they got lucky to get through the Final Four, but once they get into the last two, it's just kind of like, you're not in the same.
Yeah, you're not in the same league anymore.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
But I know we're gonna look back at this question. We're gonna look back at it in 8 months, and like all those teams, we're gonna be like, this team's the best. They're gonna win it all. Like, it's funny. 8 months from now, we're gonna be talking about stuff we thought we would never be talking about.
Yeah. I bet you there's going to be a couple trades. Like, remember this summer, a few years back, where Subban was traded for Weber, and then the same day, who was it? Taylor Hall was traded for Larson.
Yeah.
Like, And that at the time was kind of like, whoa, where did these come from? Like it was just a quiet day on a Tuesday or something, whatever it was. Like nobody was expecting it to happen.
All
I
starts at
kind of
that drunken
expect that,
campfire.
right? Like I expect there to be 2 or 3 trades over the next couple weeks where it's just like,
I hope
wow,
so. I love that's
like
what I love about the off season. Some crazy. I always
there's some teams
remember
that want to make some noise
as
too.
a
Like
kid
there's,
opening the front page of the paper, and it was Timu Solani going to Colorado with Paul Kariya.
yeah,
I was just like, holy this, and mind you, it was a terrible season for both of them,
yeah,
but it was a lot of hype at the time.
yeah. I remember that being crazy. Lots of free agent mistakes though, so we'll see.
Yep.
But the next thing I know in the Toronto world, they're talking a lot about Tyler Bertuzzi, and a lot of people are drooling over him. I don't know how he would fit. I think a lot of people think too much of him. I just wanted to bring it up just because I know that we've talked about the past of what it is the Leafs need to do to
I
make
think he
the
would cost too
right
much for
things.
them.
I think it would too, but he's just the type of player that I want. Like I know I had mentioned I'm looking for kind of a bit of a power forward type guy, like an Evander
He
Kane,
would
Matthew
fit.
Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Be that next tier down similar type player that would fit that role. So like I would be interested in him, but the price would have to be appropriate. And with it being Detroit, who's still not ready really to compete, I think you could get away with
What's his? I was
decent
more
return.
concerned about his salary, like being able to take on his salary to fit into your like, because most of the time the Leafs address that kind of role on their team with paying pretty cheap,
Yeah.
so he would definitely cost more.
Mm, I don't remember what his cap hit is here. Let me check. His RFA. So he needs
Okay,
a new
so
deal.
yeah, he's probably
Depending.
he's probably due for a few million at least, right?
Yeah, I don't know what he made last year because he'd have arbitration, which means you have to make more than you made last year. So I think he made 1.4 last year, so he'd have to make more than 1.4.
Okay, that might be able to be worked if, but
Yeah. Probably a raise, obviously, but even at 2 years times two, even
yeah, I
2.5.
personally figured he would make more than that, two to
Yeah,
three,
I have
like
no
three.
idea.
He was definitely one of Detroit's best players. Like,
When you don't
but
have
that
much
is that
depth.
how much saying is that? Yeah,
Yeah.
but he was their
Well,
scorer. Like, and someone's gonna score. But
yeah, but so did P.A. Parento back when the Leafs had nobody.
true, true.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up just because he fits the
Yep.
type of mold that I'm looking for. So I'm kind of just excited that they're looking around for those type of guys, it seems. So news on that front. But another guy who's on the market is Vladimir Tarasenko. I found this story very interesting on him. That I don't know the details specifically, but he had multiple shoulder surgeries over the last couple of years. And in the second time he hurt his shoulder, he said, obviously it's messed up, but I also have pain. Like it'll be fine, it'll be fine. You just got to recover, whatever. And during the whole process, he kept saying, "I have pain, I have pain. Like there's something else wrong. I have pain." Like, and the doctor for the Blues just basically didn't do anything. Did the surgery, he recovered, and he was healthy. He was 100% ish, but he was in pain still. He's like, why should I? Why am I good, but I'm still in pain? Like I can't always be in pain, right?
Yeah,
So they basically went in and realized they missed something during the procedure. So they had to go back in and correct it or fix it or do whatever it is that they had to do to change. And this was from a second opinion that Tarasenko seeked out himself. So basically, the fact that somebody said that he doesn't trust the medical staff anymore in St. Louis, especially for a guy like him who is teetering on that line of maybe being career-ending surgery. I think he needs to be somewhere that has a good staff that will make sure they take care of him regardless of what happens.
yeah, that makes sense. It's funny how that's been a recurring story a little bit in NHL is these medical practitioners being
Mhm.
questioned by their patients. Really, it's an interesting talk because obviously the doctors are incentivized to get these guys back on the ice a little bit.
Mhm.
At what point you're responsible for your own well-being, right? So like I feel like there is another thing under that rug we were talking about earlier that's got to be sorted out.
Again, it's the you want to talk about competitive balance and stuff, but then you look at let's just compare one of the top places, let's say a Rangers, a Montreal, a Toronto versus a St. Louis. I mean, with the pandemic and everything going on, you would imagine that even if the Leafs, the Habs, whatever, had to cut some of their staff, they're cutting, 5% of hundreds of people, where St. Louis might have to cut 30% of a few people, right? So it's like, I feel like St. Louis could have been a staff that was impacted, and maybe they had,
Yeah.
a little less high
Budget
quality.
doctor.
They had passable. Yeah, exactly, right? So it's not saying he's not a good doctor, but
I
it's
do
not
know.
the best of the
I do
best.
know from my line of work that the Leafs doctor is, at least the orthopedic opinion, is very, very well renowned across Canada, because we use them
Yeah.
from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
who
know that
knows?
they put billions of dollars. Back when they put the cap in, the Leafs basically said, you know what, if we can't spend money on players, we're going to spend it on development, whatever, everything else, which is what you should want teams to do. It's just the Leafs took it to that, extra level, and it's just kind of like
Yeah,
then
it's
the
gotten
NHL
to the point.
put rules in to be like, okay, the Leafs, you can't go extra. You can do
You can't
pretty
go
good, but
too
you can't
hard.
go
You can't.
too hard.
We can't develop employees, humans. We don't want them being too good.
Right? And the Leafs have shown in the history over the last couple of years that even if they can't have staff or if they can't have players help them, they still want to develop them to be the best they can, and they help them to wherever it is, another
They're creating a
organization,
culture.
another team. Yeah. So like, I don't see why teams would want to cap that. Like, the best example is Robertson, and I wish people would look into this a little bit more in Leafland. Basically, he was a second-round pick, and there was some issues with his family a little bit where he wanted to basically just commit to hockey. So he lived at the Leafs Performance Center during the summer and was talking to all the coaches, getting training on everything, getting advice on how to eat and how to train right. And all of a sudden, he turned himself from a second-round pick into like rookie of the year kind of candidate type of guy, right? And he scored 50 something goals in the OHL. He played for Team Canada, stuff like that. Actually, I think he got hurt and he didn't end up playing. But so like he turned himself he into something that's pretty
People
good.
don't realize.
Really
I
good.
don't think people give enough credit to what coaches can bring to talent. Every
At the same time,
talent needs good coaches.
Yes, agreed. But at the same time, it's in the player too. Not all players can do that. And if you draft a kid who wants to commit every breath he takes to be in the lineup for your team, you did a good job. You did a good job drafting and scouting. And if he's going to turn himself into a product, it shouldn't be capped. Like, they're limiting somebody like that. Now, Robertson has the skill to still make an impact. But you look at a guy like Hyman too. I know I told you this story before with his dad. Zach Hyman wasn't getting ice time on the team that he was playing on. The coaches were kind of being a little bit dicky and whatever to him and his dad. I mean, what do you know, right? It's just a player's dad. Go away, leave me alone. Well, his dad basically bought up the league or multiple teams and fired the coaching staff and got him in just so that Hyman could play. So, I mean, that moment in his time, if he just continued to not get ice time and never play, Zach Hyman never would have became an NHL player for sure. He would have been capped out.
Yeah.
But like, people like that who just work their way to become something, if you're going to limit that, then what's the point? Like, people aren't going to work hard. They're just going to be like, oh, I'm a Phil Kessel. I'm God-given skill. I don't practice, but I can put up 30 goals a year, right?
Yep.
So, see where that goes. But
But yeah, I say he'll be traded.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I guess the last thing we have here is just the Montreal Canadiens. Just the one thing I want to touch on, just when you brought it up earlier, bonuses. I don't know if I sent this to you or not. Did I send that to you about how the Habs had a certain set amount of bonuses?
Yeah, and they went over
prospects?
the cap. Yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't have the cap space this year. So if you can't afford your bonuses on the year that they occurred on, they occur to the next year. So we don't know the amount of bonuses yet. They'll be announced shortly, I would assume.
Can't be that much. Maybe a couple mil.
Depends. Because it depends on signing that contract. Because you have a guy like, I'll use Cole Caulfield for an example. He's in the NCAA, and he's not quite available to you yet. So you want him to be available to you. He could have theoretically gone back for another year of school, and this whole year would have never happened in his life.
Yeah.
So because the Habs wanted him to come, they could have said to him, you know what? If we get to the Cup final, we'll give you $3 million. Knowing deep down, we're not getting to the Cup final. Like, we might go a round or two, but like, we're not getting to the Cup final.
Yeah, give him a little bit of incentive.
right? All of a sudden you get to the cup final and it's like, shit. Offered him $3 million to get to the cup final, and or like it could have been, you get 25 points, or however many points you got, 20 points, whatever it was. You get 20 points in the first year playoffs that you play in. Sure, we'll give you $2 million. How many players would you make that bet on? 90+% of players to never hit that bonus.
Yeah.
Right? So like 95 probably. So like after now you have these rookies who went to the cup final who produced. Like, who knows what the bonuses are?
I guess it'll eventually come out, right? What the numbers?
Like, Caulfield could be like, dress in a game, you get 20 points, you make the Eastern Cup final, you make the Stanley Cup final, you play 20 minutes a game. Like, there could be 7 bonuses that he hit that we know, for all we know. Like, translate it a little bit to Leafland here, when everybody talks about Marner didn't get... Lou Lamoriello told Marner, I don't give bonuses to anybody. He only ever did one time, and it was to Shanahan, way back in the day in New Jersey. But he refused to that day to give anybody. He's like, you can sit if you want. I'll never give anybody a bonus. Marner said, fine. He'll sign the contract. He signs the contract. Leafs draft Matthews the next year. Luke Lamoriello gave him full bonuses. So, like, we don't know how much money Matthews earned from bonuses, but it was approximately $4 million. So if you translated the same success over to Marner, Lou lying to or failing to give the bonuses to Marner cost Marner millions of dollars. So that's why he wanted his money when it came to his contract. Then to circle his back around one more time, the Leafs' money contracts are guaranteed. All the Leafs players, to my knowledge, there's no bonuses. So Matthews, Matthews could win Conn Smythe and score 100 goals and win the cup. I don't believe he has any bonuses. So his guaranteed max cap he'd ever hit on your team year after year is what you're paying him.
That seems like a better way to account for things, so you don't run into this exact situation.
And that's why I'm trying to illustrate a little bit to Leaf fans, a little bit, especially with Marner, because he didn't get his bonuses and he doesn't get bonuses. So he gets his paycheck. And if he performs a ton and we win the cup, it's not like the following year now we have to pay $5 million for him and Matthews because we won the cup. It's not a penalty, right? So like if we do have the success in Leafland, it's actually a bonus, right? So like keep that in mind.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, so all these little intricacies and things about the league, right?
Yeah, that's what the pod's for, following all this craziness and documenting.
Exactly.
Documenting. Who would have thought when we started this podcast the things that we would have experienced? Pandemic, Blackhawks getting out of line, all this stuff. Yeah. It's just...
We're getting on to season 3 almost.
Season 3. Can't believe it. Episode 53. July 11th? What day is it? 2021.
Yeah. July 11th.
Think we'll get to 500? Maybe.
I don't see why we should stop.
Yeah, me either.
And our most views the last couple weeks, so come on.
It might be the thumbnail, the fire thumbnails. It might be the clickbait titles. I don't know what it is, but we had like 70 views last week, which is by far our most.
Only 52 of them were me. I'm just kidding.
I don't know if we'll get that many this time. We'll see. We'll see what I put in the click. What should I put in the clickbait title? That's really what it is. So.
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, friend. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Took a little break from work. Now I gotta get back at it.
Get that money. Peace out.
Later.